Well, it's time now for business, and let's begin as ever by taking a look at the markets. Firstly, how things closed up in the United States. Gains across the board on Wall Street at the close of play on Thursday. The Dow Jones up 0.5%, the S&P 500 up almost 0.6%, and the Nasdaq up over 0.8%, as you can see there. Well, as for Asia this Friday, a slightly mixed bag, although everything is hovering around the flat line. The Nikkei is down around 0.2%, the Hong Kong Hang Seng down almost 0.7%, both the Shanghai Composite and the Kospi and Seoul just above the flat line, as you can see there. Well, for more, we can bring in Jamil Ahmad, Director of Investment Strategy at Naga. Jamil, US markets hitting a record highs once again. What exactly is happening there?
Thank you, Hexie. So essentially, it's another example of something that should be bad for markets, in an odd way being good for markets, because yesterday investors got spooked that in the United States, there was close to 900,000 initial jobless claims over the past week, which is its highest level in 3 months and has further stoked concerns about the job recovery in the United States, where we're still at least 10 million jobs away from where the US economy was prior to the pandemic. And now investors are nudging into the direction, pointing the finger that this should, by all accounts, all but put the nail in the coffin that the United States government will need to announce a second stimulus package, a government stimulus package. And now it looks like it's going to be a matter of time, no longer if, but when, And essentially, when Biden-elect does come into president, investors are also taking into the picture that there will be more accommodative support, which basically means more accessibility to money for investors. And this is seen as lifting stock market sentiment even higher. And that's why US markets hit a record high just yesterday once again.
Now, the US dollar, meanwhile, has been weakening to its lowest level in close to 3 years. Explain what's going on there.
It's the perfect storm environment for a dollar weakness. We've got the stock markets climbing higher. We've got all of these assumptions that when Biden-elect does come into power, this time in roughly 1 month from now, we're going to see a lot of accommodative policy measures, whether that's through US economic stimulus packages. Some of the spokespeople that Biden will elect into senior positions actually come from an economic background that seems to be very downbeat on what is the pandemic-induced shock impact to the United States economy. You've got the Federal Reserve, which is the US central bank, and they keep policy interest rates extremely low for perhaps years in the United States. All of this put together is weakening the environment to buy the greenback, which is the US dollar. And it might be very bad news for the US dollar and the greenback itself, but it's good news for global currencies because global currencies have not been this strong against the US dollar in close to 3 years. And within a couple of months, they could be closer to 4 and 5 years because the consensus is very strong now that it's even hard to find a contrarian who is not negative on the probability of the dollar weakening into 2021 and even further than that.
And Jamil, this is a very exciting time to be in possession of Bitcoin.
It's been a phenomenal week and a phenomenal period. Bitcoin is now up more than 200% year to date, and it didn't only hit 21K for the first time ever this week, hit 22K and then very shortly after 23,000. Now there is a lot of hope that this rally in Bitcoin is different to the rally we saw 3 years ago, which was its previous all-time highs, because this rally is based on real optimism on the adoption of the values behind Bitcoin and the value that it could provide to the global monetary system. Whereas the rally we saw 3 years ago, where there was Bitcoin mania across the world, was really based on animal spirits and speculators. There seems to be something very much deeper behind the scenes that's helping Bitcoin progress. I do expect the price to come down just a little bit now that it's hit so many milestone highs this week, but investors are very optimistic on what the future could be for Bitcoin value.
Jamil Ahmad, thank you very much for your insights.